spiritual health, and I'm going to give you 7. It's just getting yourself in the present moment. Hi everybody, welcome to my wellness vlog. Today we are talking about spiritual health, and I'm going to give you 7 ways to practice spiritual wellness. So spiritual wellness is your core values and your beliefs, not mine, it's yours. It's things that feed your soul and that make you feel good and give you that spark for life. That's what spiritual wellness is. So kind of think about that. And if you need to take some time, write it down, what that means to you, feel free. That is a spiritual practice. And then I'm going to throw these out and you can take these or leave these. Know that I'm spiritual, I'm not religious, but if you are and it feeds your soul, you do it. You do you, I do me, and let's get going. So the first one is knowing that words are power. And just like you saw today with the word of the day being spiritual. So that's what I do is I look up my word of the day. I just pick a word out of thin air typically. And in fact, I'm just going to put a bunch of words around me right now. That way you have an idea of some words that you can use. And I'll pick a word and I'll look up the definition of that word. And I look up multiple definitions of that word. Even if it's a word you know, and you know what it means, I still look up the word, look up the definition so that all those words that are positive within that definition are coming into me, right? Like you're really soaking it in, you're reflecting on it, you are pondering it. And then what I do is I look up different quotes of that word and I look up Bible verses of that word and any spiritual, like proverbs and blessings and all the things. I just kind of read a bunch of different things and get that feel. And then I typically do share one on Instagram for the day just because that's what I do. So I'll spend about 5 minutes looking up the quotes and everything. And then I come up with an affirmation for myself for that day using that word. And an affirmation just helps you to get into that positive mindset, but also know you'll have days that aren't perfect with it, and just give yourself space for it and just know that you're planting seeds every time that you're using that word and doing practices to improve your spiritual wellness, right? So there you go. Words are your superpower. They really, really are. Okay, number 2 is what we all know, meditation. Knowing that meditation, again, is so many different things though. Even just focusing in on your breath is a meditation practice. You know, there's no rules to it. It is trying to find some quiet, I will say that. And then typically you want to sit tall. You just don't want to be clumped over. But other than that, there was really no rules. So focusing on your breath is a great one. And again, just being mindful in the moment, focusing on the inhale, focusing on the exhale, following that breath. Or you can do 4-count breathing, inhale for 4, exhale for 4. There's so many different paths for that. And I do have breathwork practices on my channel as well. And then there's also guided body scans, prayer, loving kindness, there's happiness, there's visual imagery. Think of an experience that brought you full-blown joy, or think of a place that you love that you can always go to. Just close your eyes, visualize yourself in that place, or visualize yourself with that experience. Those things can be very powerful tools for yourself. And then mindfulness is another practice of meditation. So that's just present moment awareness. And there's so many ways again to do that. It's just getting yourself in the present moment. You know, we tend to think about things in the future or things that happened in the past. Our mind just spins on those things. Well, let's get present right now. So that's where breath work is great, because it gets you into this present moment. And speaking of present moment awareness, I want to share this experience from yesterday and talk about forest bathing. So I've been in spring mode, the spring fever, but I can embrace this. This is awesome. Forest bathing is a mindfulness practice that gets you into the present moment, and you're using all of your senses to experience your surroundings. Notice the sounds that you hear. Notice the colors, the textures. Notice how the air feels on your skin. Breathe in that fresh air. I know if you live on the East Coast, you're like, whatever, but we need snow in the mountains. Awesome. Yeah, that walk was so fun. And we haven't had any snow in the Pacific Northwest, in the lowlands especially, but even in the mountains, we have none. So it was really special to go out there and just, have that little nature connection. But even if you're just looking at the sky, simply looking at the clouds go by or watching a sunrise, watching the sunset can be powerful tools for mindfulness and present moment awareness. Just try to do it without your phone. Yes, I had my phone on me for part of it. So there was that. Number 4 is research. So research different spiritual experiences, traditions, religions, whatever it is. You can read books, you can listen to podcasts, you can talk to people, right? All the things. I'll put a list of books on the screen right now that I like. And the other thing that you can do, this one is controversial, but I am a fan of it. So somebody very dear to me, I won't call them out, but somebody very dear to me had a near-death experience. And I was like, wait, what? And that had me read a bunch of books on near-death experiences. And I realized that a lot of these, and they're not all Christian-based, some of them are, some of them aren't, but they're kind of like modern day Bible stories, and they are modern day connections to the universe. I really do believe that. So I would say there's YouTube stories on it. It's just like everything else though, like, how you connect to some people and some people you don't. It's the same thing when you're hearing some of these stories. Some of the stories you may connect with, some of them you won't. And again, as I said, you may or may not agree with me on that, but I really do think that it can really help broaden your ideas of what spiritual health means to you. I really believe that. So you could go on a spiritual retreat, you could go to spiritual places. There is a reason that some of these places are so spiritual. I have had many powerful experiences myself going to some of these places. I just think it's great. But you have to be open to it too. You can't be like, oh, let's see. If you go in with that mindset of, oh, let's see if this is, you will not experience anything. You really have to be open. Okay, so that's that. Number 5 is gratitude. So we all know writing in a gratitude journal is good to do. But what about at night, at the end of the night, your notes on your phone? I don't know if you do that. Or you can do it, write it down, whatever you do. But write down something that you're grateful for that happened that day. And then you'll have a long list of things that you're grateful for before you know it. The other thing I try to do is say thank you to more people and be intentional about that and say, I appreciate you. I feel like those two things are really great in the gratitude category as well. And for those days that don't go well, just that we all have them, right? Days go up and down. And you had an experience that happened that was bad. Could you step back and kind of give that moment space, give yourself space to feel what you're feeling, and then can you look at it from a bigger perspective or from a different perspective, sometimes that can help switch your mindset for that experience and maybe give you a little gratitude for that experience. Maybe it'll take some time, but that's just another tool that you can do. Number 6 is think of simple ways to practice love, kindness, compassion to others. Love is the most important thing that you can do, no matter what you believe. It all stems down to love, right? And loving, if you believe in God, loving God and loving others. Practice love, compassion, kindness, empathy. So important, so important. And again, look up those words, look up quotes, look up everything, and just to really give yourself that grasp of what it means to love others. And then number 7 is listening to music and listening to positive music, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be Christian music, but people that are positive and that fuel your soul. I think that is a spiritual practice. Going to those concerts are a spiritual practice, absolutely. So kind of think about that as you listen to the songs that you love. Listen to those words, read the words, and they'll really help you to deepen your spiritual practice, for sure, for sure. All right, so that is my 7 ways on how you practice spiritual wellness. If you have ideas, please share them. I would love to hear them and maybe incorporate them. And it will also help others that watch this video as well. I hope you have a beautiful day, and feel free to use my affirmation. My heart is my spiritual guide. All right, thanks so much. Till next time. See ya. Bye.